I'm Gwen Preston of Resource Maven, and I'm here at the Metals Investor Forum in May in Vancouver, and I'm happy to be joined by Hugh Agro of Revival Gold. Thanks for being here.
Super to be with you, Gwen. Yeah.
So there's lots to talk about because you have transformed Revival in the last month with a big deal to buy Ensign minerals to get the Mercur, am I saying that right? The Mercur Project.
Yeah.
So talk to me about why you like the Mercur Project. We can sort of step back and talk about the context of making the deal after, but like, what is it about the project that you like so much?
Well, I'll step back further and talk about Revival Gold's strategy.
Okay.
So the first thing is our focus has been from the start on brownfields assets where gold has been mined before, successfully mined before,
Yeah.
and where we get an advantage in terms of infrastructure, where we get an advantage in terms of community support, and also knowledge of the project. So we don't have things that make risk in the project. So that's our one of our hallmarks. The second is we like a phased approach to taking these things into production because we think that makes them more simple and more deliverable, and it's a more credible story for a smaller cap company to pursue. Thirdly, we like the geography, the Western United States. It's synergistic with our team, our location there, our experience, our capabilities. And then we could talk about specifics about the asset that we came after. But that strategy is fulfilled in spades with this acquisition of Ensign, a private company in the Western U.S. for shares.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Great setup for sure. Like, I mean, when I read the news release, I was like, wow, this makes so much sense. You can even drive between them in only 6 hours. Your team is there. You're not trying to learn a new game. You're doing the game that you're already good at, but you're amplifying your exposure to that game.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, the Mercur Project, describe what it is. And I know one of the things that's really attractive about it, especially at this sort of moment in the market and in terms of parallels to Bear Track, is the oxide gold component and how simple that is.
Yeah, 1.6 million ounces of oxide heap leachable gold. So that's a simpler process than going into the mill scenario at Bear Track Arnett. We have a first phase of heap leach at Bear Track Arnett. We wanted to complement that. We're more than doubling our heap leachable resource, and we're giving up 1/3 of our market cap to do that. So it's accretive on a resource per share basis of heap leachable material, so very important for our shareholders. That operational synergy we spoke about is really important, but more important than that still is the fact that we can move it quickly towards production because it's on largely private land. And it's in a semi-arid location, which means that we don't have to worry about extensive baseline data collection for water. And so this is a big step forward for us. Grows our resource to now 6.2 million ounces combined, making us the third largest developer in the Western U.S. It gets us a second project that can move more quickly into production, and it more than doubles our heap leachable ounces of resource.
Yes, it's interesting. I mean, I think things like private ground and the fact that it's semi-arid, so there isn't the water factor, those don't stand out in a news release. But for anybody who understands a permitting process, I mean, those things, if they were the other way around, if it was on, ground that required sort of the normal long permitting processes and required lots of water management, that drags out the timeline and creates that doldrum of the Lassonde curve that everybody hates. So this is just, you don't sort of necessarily get credit for it in the moment because it's not like, woohoo, some huge splashy number or something like that. But man, is it ever important.
It is important. It allows us to move more quickly. And so talking about the next steps for us, we're going to move the project through the steps of improving on the geological model, column test work for the metallurgy to de-risk the metallurgy, and then a PEA or preliminary economic assessment by the end of the first quarter next year. And so our team's running hard on that. The engineering team at Bear Track Arnett has shifted over to Mercur for this exercise. And meanwhile, our geologists are continuing on with exploration and quantifying targets for further exploration and drilling at Bear Track Arnett, where we've got 5 kilometers of open trend to continue to explore, and the deposit's open. So we'll have lots of news flow. We're funded to do that work, and our team's really charged up.
Yeah. Okay. Last question. Sort of, let's step back. I mean, you and I have chatted about this lots, but sort of what a company needs to do in the market. You said just before we started this interview, you can't sit still. and you weren't sitting still at Bear Track, you were progressing Bear Track, but nonetheless, you got to stay dynamic in this market. And the other comment that you made is that scale matters. So talk to me about those two comments, because I think they're really good ones.
Yeah. Well, if you think about our business and where it's going, with market cap being so important to attracting investor interest and lowering cost of capital, we had to be thinking about how do we get bigger. And we can either, to do that, we can either, on the two ends of the spectrum, we can be a buyer or we can be a seller. And we're not ready to sell right now. At $6-7 an ounce in the ground, we think there's a ton of upside from here. And so the trick was to be able to find a project that fit our strategy and that we could acquire that wasn't dilutive to our investor base. And we've been able to do that, grow our market cap, grow our resource and our overall exposure to gold. And remember, these are pure gold projects. So as this gold price goes up, we have 100% exposure through our resource. This is not a equivalent gold situation, and it allows us to move more quickly with that story. So yeah, it's a win-win-win across the board. And yes, you cannot stay still in this business. We've learned that time and time again. We need to stay dynamic. We need to stay receptive to what the market is looking to reward, because that lowers our cost of capital.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on finding an asset that's such a good fit, and giving your team, your team is amped up. This is exciting and gives them a whole bunch of new things to do, and certainly look forward to hearing how it goes over the next year.
Thanks, Gwen. Yeah.
Thanks.